Hey guys, this is point 4 in the Case for Rick Santorum video. The title of this is Being Politically Practical Will Result in a Better Society. Now that's a very fluffy title. There will be 3 points in this video. The first point is that I'm going to talk about how we're being kind of unsophisticated, and this will be a pretty short video, but we're being kind of unsophisticated about our ideas on value transfer. So we need a better expected value model of value transfer. I'll talk about what that means. 2, I'm going to talk about unconfidence and destabilization of society due to unconfidence and unexpected events. Finally, I'm going to talk about the winner-take-all nature of the presidential election. Alright, so we need to be politically practical. What does that mean? It means we need to stop being idealistic, okay? A lot of people want to be idealistic with their votes, and they want to, vote their heart, and they want to vote what they really believe. But the fact of the matter is, you can't just vote what you really believe. You need to take into consideration the fact that if you vote for what you really believe, it's not going to work, okay? So you need to be realistic, you need to be practical. And what you need to do is you need to go, okay, in light of reality, what is the best that I can do? Instead of, in light of my imagination, what is the best that I can think of? How about in light of reality, what is the best that I can do with my current situation? Now that's called being practical. So let's talk about this expected value. We talk about in math and economics and a lot of sciences, expected value. So if you're being an ideologue, you don't really think about expected value. You just think about what is it you want, you're going to vote for that guy, and then he is going to do what you want when he gets elected. But a more sophisticated model of expected value is going to weight his likelihood of getting elected. So let's say that there's a guy who's a 10 out of 10 for he believes what I believe. This guy's a 10 out of 10 for he believes what I believe, but his likelihood of getting elected is 10%. So I weight that and I multiply that. Now I have an expected value of 1. Do you see that? So his ability to represent me is a 10, but his ability to get elected is 10%. So my value of this candidate is only a 1%, because the fact of the matter is, if I vote for him, he's probably not going to win. I probably just wasted my vote. Now here's the thing about wasting your vote. If you waste your vote, you have essentially voted for your opponent. And I want you to think about this. If there are 3 candidates, a good one, a medium one, and a bad one, and you vote for the good one but he loses, then you have not voted for the medium one, which amounts to a vote for the bad one. Alright? Now it sounds very complicated, and actually it sounds logically questionable, but it's not. Let me give you a hard example. If there is Santorum, Romney, and Paul, and this is the way I'm thinking about it, okay? And I want to vote for Paul, but he's going to lose. So then I can go ahead and vote for Paul, but by virtue of not voting for Santorum, I have given an edge to Romney because Romney's currently in the lead. Do you see that? I have fractured the non-Romney base. And in fracturing the non-Romney base, I have increased the Romney chance of winning. So instead of voting for Paul, I need to vote for Santorum, because even though he's only a 5 out of 10 in my ability to represent, he only really represents half of what I believe in, but he has a much better chance of getting elected. So call him a 5 out of 10 on the ideal log spectrum instead of a 10 out of 10. But say he's got a 50% chance of winning compared to Paul's 10%. Well, that gives him an expected value of 2.5. Do you see that? Now, let's say Romney is a 1 out of 10 in what I believe spectrum, but he has a 75% chance of winning. Well, he's got a 0.75. Okay? So you can see he's nearly as high in expected value as Ron Paul. Okay? So this expected value thing, it brings another dimension to it. It's really more sophisticated, and it's much more practical. Alright, so that will result in a better society because more people's values will be effectively transferred into government. More will be better represented. Okay? What's the whole point of a democratic republic government? To represent you. So in other words, by being politically practical, you are enabling the government to do its job. And you're enabling it to represent you because you're being practical. Okay, and more of your values get transferred this way. Number 2, a better society because it will be less unstable. This is expectations theory. in economics and in political science, we both have different forms of expectations theory. In political science, we have a law which states a culture will come to expect its government to play a particular role. This is called role, R-O-L-E, and the E has a triangle hat thing above it. You can go look it up. Some kind of French guy invented it. Role. The government comes to fill a certain role, and the culture expects that role. And when the government takes a sharp turn and doesn't give the culture what it expects, it destabilizes society. We can see a good example of this in Greece. Okay, it's a welfare state. The government has become the welfare nanny of Greece. Well, it hits an economic brick wall and can't cut paychecks. Okay, it starts cutting government workers and reducing benefits, and they go haywire. Riots everywhere, right? So this is that political science principle. In economics, we have a similar principle, and there's actually a variable for it. If you look at any good model of economics, if you look hard enough, you'll find a model. You'll find a variable for expectations. All right. So basically, it works like this: if everyone wants the dollar relative to the euro to go up, it doesn't matter if it fundamentally should. It will go up because everyone wants it. Consumer preference increases. Everyone's buying it. By virtue of buying it, they cause demand to increase. Demand increase causes price to increase. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so that is an example of how expectations play a role there. But they play a role in a different way too. Because if expectations are uncertain, that's going to cause actually the economy to crash. Let me show you why. People prefer not to be in an uncertain market. Okay? If you had the choice between pulling out today, pulling out X amount of dollars, or being faced with risk in the future, on average, most people in human nature, we find through science, we find, well, it's not true for everyone, but for most people, we are risk averse. So we'd rather pull our money out today than save it and have a risk-reward thing in the future. Now, for a lot of investors, that's different, but investors are a different breed of human being. People, on average, are risk-averse. All right, so by nature of being risk-averse, if our economy, if a stock or a commodity or an option or a currency becomes risky, what's the normal person going to do? They're going to sell it. They're going to get out of the market. What happens when you sell it? Demand goes down, everyone's trying to sell it, the price drops. Okay? So you can see how the value of the currency would drop in that case. Well, if the value of the currency drops relative to the rest of the world, our economy crashes. Do you know that? Because our stuff becomes worthless, Let's say a stock crashes. Well, that stock crashing has very real implications for that firm. They're not going to have money, or they're going to be viewed as bad, and investors are going to take out their money. It's going to have a very real impact. Bonds market. If everyone sells bonds and there's no money to fund the bond, there's a very real implication there, and it goes on and on and on. So, and furthermore, even if it's not a risk in trading per se, if it's a general economic risk, like I can either hold on to my money or I can spend it, but if I hold on to it, but if I spend it, hold on, how am I saying this? Right, so if someone is unconfident that spending money is a good idea, then there's going to be a tendency not to spend it. When that tendency comes into play, it's going to reduce the amount of expenditures. That's going to lower the strength of the overall economy because no one's going to be spending money. They're going to be sticking it under their mattress like the Great Depression. Okay, maybe they're afraid to spend their money. Maybe they're afraid to hold their money in a savings account or an investment, so they pull their money out, bury it in the backyard. Well, that's how we got into the Great Depression, isn't it? All right, so that's how expectations affect the thing. I touched on expected value, unconfidence, and expectations theory. And what was the other one? I don't remember what the other one was, but I said it earlier in this video, so I'm going to stop recording, and I'm going to go watch the first part of my own video, and I'm going to put like a slide in here or some text or something that will explain that last one. Alright, take care YouTube. See you in the next video.